Realty out of Oregon, and my buddy Cody Wilhelm is with Residential Mortgage.
Hey,
Hello,
hey,
Cody.
how goes it?
Good, good. Yeah, we were chatting earlier, and we got some cool news. We've got what we're going to talk about today is the Redfin came out with their 2024 predictions on the housing market and what they think is going to happen, and just wanted to get your thoughts on that, get my
hmm
opinions on that, and then also we have some exciting news that we're going to share towards the end of this, and kind of what Cody and I's next adventures are, and where we're going to go from here, and taking this Wednesday talk with each other and see if we can grow on it and things like that. So, anyways,
hmm
that's the plan for today. How was the weekend?
The weekend was good. It was just dumping down rain, so we stayed inside. My wife has been going crazy making a bunch of wreaths, so
Oh,
she's
nice.
staying busy with that and hanging
These are
out,
like the
getting ready.
homemade from trees on your property, or what?
Well, we actually found a place that was out in Amboy, and they're selling any size tree. So it's
Hmm.
all overgrown, like oversized Christmas trees. But it's like $50. Go out there, pick any tree you want, right? So most of them are. There's some that are smaller, but they're like 30+ foot trees. So we
Mm-hmm.
went out there. That's where we got our Christmas tree from. Cut it down. She made some wreaths from it, and she's like, if we went out and got another tree, I could make a lot of wreaths. And so I went back out and cut down another tree and brought it in. So it was,
Nice.
and then just random clippings from bushes and other trees around the property. So worked out pretty good.
Sweet. Little
She even
entrepreneur
threw
there.
on dried oranges. I guess that's a
Nice.
thing. Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, so
I'm
yeah.
not a designer in any way.
Yeah, all this behind me is not from me. This is all
Right?
decorated by even my daughter, who's 6, is better sense than I do. So
How was your weekend?
yeah, good, good. We have basketball. We're like living the basketball life now. So Rory is in
Yes.
competitive basketball, so we have tournaments pretty much every weekend through March. So
Okay. So
we
you're
just
you're in the
decide
heat of it.
we just decide Thursday when our games are, and then we go from there. So
Oh
yeah, I
man.
noticed though also you haven't mentioned anything about the beard, like how thick, and no, don't see it.
No, from this distance, I gotta. It's
Whatever.
probably
It
just
takes
the
me
color.
time.
It's
Takes
just
me
the
some
color.
time. It's the lighting. The lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. On
Oh.
that note, well, let's get started. So we had talked about it last week, or a little bit later in the week last week, about Redfin's 2024 housing market predictions and some of the things that they think is going to happen. So I kind of wanted to get your opinion on it, because I think it's an interesting article. Redfin, for those who don't know, is basically another Zillow. They're a huge conglomerate that helps people with lending and real estate services. So if you don't know, Redfin's a big deal. Most people know, and so they a lot of people look to them for their advice and things like that. So I did notice this article, and one of the first things they predicted, that home prices are going to fall 1% nationally. That's their prediction,
Hmm.
based on mortgage rates and things like that. Now, I know I first, like, I guess we want to have the disclaimer that this is all national. So this is on a national level. This is not local to your neighborhood, to your city, to your town, to your particular area. We may see, in your city versus mine, you may see houses go up by 5%, go up by 3%,
hmm
or those sort of things. Just so you know, just a disclaimer for everyone out there that it's just they're predicting that home prices are going to fall in 1%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it can be. What's your thoughts on that?
hmm Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I think as we stay in the current situation that we're in, I think it puts more and more pressure on home prices to come down because there's just less people to buy. I think the only thing that's really prevented it from falling farther is that we had the low rates from before. So a lot of people that are sitting there not selling, it's because they have the ability. The rate is low. They don't have to go anywhere. So I think once we start to see the rates come down, it's going to kind of open things back up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But as it sits tight like this, I think it just puts more pressure on home prices to naturally kind of just come down some, just to get them sold.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that housing prices really weren't affected by any of these rates uh, a lot. And I think historically you see it kind of fluctuates with rates, but this time it didn't, because homeowners are in a rate that they can handle. And so they're like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not lowering the price. I'm not going to budge because I don't have to.
Yeah.
And so we'll start to see that possibly change as it goes forward.
Yeah.
they say that new listings are going to tick up this year, that there's going to be more houses going up, and then home sales in turn will then increase up by 5%. So obviously new listings, you're going to have more home sales. And like you said, like, I love your opinion on it, but basically as people grow accustomed to the rates, and the rates get closer to what sellers have already, it becomes more manageable to say, okay, I can jump from a 4% rate to a 5. That's okay. Like, I don't want to jump from a
Yeah.
4 to a 7. But yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yep. I'm with you. I think there's going to be that tipping point where it starts to make sense for a lot of those people that it just doesn't make sense right now for some people, right, to sell, because you don't have to, and you've got a good payment, something that's comfortable, but maybe you do want to get out of it. Once we start to see there be a little bit less of a gap between what's current and what was offered, back in 21, 22, I think it's gonna kind of level everything back out again, where it's a buyers and sellers market
Yeah.
rather than just one or the other.
Yeah.
So I think the home prices will come down some, and then there's probably a good chance that they jump right back up quickly as the market starts to pick back up and more buyers, more activity. It's just going to naturally, the demand will slowly creep the prices back up. But
For sure. For sure.
yep.
And this one's up your alley, but they said, it was a little surprising to me, but they said that mortgage rates will steadily decline, but only will still remain above 6%. And
Mm-hmm.
I, everyone predicts every other day what rates are going to do. Excuse me, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what rates are going to do, but it was surprising that they don't think it's going to get a high or lower than 6.5% by the end of 2024. Is that kind of along your lines, or is this a prediction and not?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's hard to say because I read probably a lot of the same stuff that you do. I was just watching the news right before we jumped on here because the Fed just met and they paused any rate hikes. So they're still in kind of let's wait and see mode. Their stance is a little bit more, we're not going to rule out that we won't raise them again, but I think there's a little bit of, we don't want to set the market on fire by saying that we're going to start lowering the rates because
mhm.
everybody impacts it. They jump at every word that is said. So I'm sure they're probably trying to just kind of do damage control with what they're saying. But I think, to me, for the rates to be down, say anywhere in the low sixes by the end of next year, um, that would tell me that the market or the economy in itself is still doing okay. I don't think that that's where we're going to be long term. I think that for there to be a healthier market, I think it would need to be somewhere in that 4 to 5 range, where it's manageable. Because if we're still only at 6%, yes, that's better than what we're at now, but
Yeah.
it still kind of keeps things to where, if you want to purchase a home, it's still more expensive than it is to rent. And I think the end game is, to where it's, yes, purchasing a home might cost you a little bit more, but ultimately you're gaining equity. You're building from something there. So
Yeah.
I guess long-winded answer to your question. I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. It's like the rates go, all over the place. But I just was surprised. I thought it would go a little lower, but that's a prediction. Who knows what's going to
Yeah.
happen? And I think one of their predictions is obviously that we don't need to go a ton into is the election, and that in 2024
Mm-hmm.
will affect positively or negatively the rates. Not directly, but everything functions. The economy will react, and the market will react, and the housing market will react to a president either staying or coming in. So
Yeah.
we could see rates, higher or lower, depending on
Mm-hmm.
who gets elected. So
Yeah. We saw back, I don't know, I guess it was 2016, when Trump was elected, before anything officially even happened, there was a huge market movement when it came
really,
to interest rates, because the expectation was that the economy was just going to really start thriving. So then rates started going up quickly and things
mm,
kind of level out. But yeah, it seems like any time, any election, there's a lot of just kind of estimating and guessing as to what's going
yeah,
to happen, and so the markets react to that until proven otherwise. So
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot
Hmm.
of knee-jerk stuff, and then it settles back
Yes.
down. But it
Yeah.
is happening in 2024, and obviously, if you have been following in any way our politics, it could be pretty volatile. So we
Yes.
could see
Yes.
what happens in November. So
Buckle up.
exactly. Well, one thing that I don't agree with, and I'll do another video or maybe talk to you in depth about it, but Redfin is predicting that change is going to come to the real estate industry in and of itself because of the lawsuit that was filed.
Mm.
And I don't know a ton of the details, but basically, a lawsuit was filed basically and found the defendants guilty. Real estate agents, large brokerages were sued basically and said, "You're colluding to keep rates high, and we don't like
Mm.
it. We think you've been doing that, and you've been artificially keeping them high." And a jury found that they were in fact right and awarded a very large lawsuit to the consumers. Basically, the more general topic is that that agents were colluding to keep their rates high.
Okay.
It's not as simple as that. It is going to be appealed, so this could be to see anything formal happen over the is going to be years if it even happens, because it was
Mm.
one trial that both sides believe that they're right, and
Yeah.
so it'll go through the process. Anyways, Redfin is a more single agent type of company. They think it's beneficial to have one agent representing all sides and be able to negotiate their fees.
Oh.
I don't agree with that,
Uh-huh.
but I do think there's a lot good in the lawsuit and there's a lot bad. First off, my personal opinion is that agents have done a horrible job at articulating to their client, first off, the value that they provide and why they earn the commission, and two, that the commission is negotiable. I think that we did in some ways assume that the commission rate was what it was, and you just kind of accepted that that was it was. Buyers did, sellers did. It just was kind of like, hey, this is the rate. This is, and I think that we haven't done a good job at not only explaining that it is negotiable, and or if it's not negotiable, here's what value I provide. So, anyways, it's going to come down
Yeah.
the pipe. Redfin prefers that it's one agent, I think, because they do the more of the discounted fees and things like that. But
Hmm.
we'll go into that another time. I don't think you have an opinion on
Man.
that, but
I do have an opinion in regards to the one agent per, covering both sides. I'm not saying that it's, there are probably situations where it makes sense, right? Maybe if
yeah,
somebody knows who the seller is, there's a relationship or whatever. But I would just imagine that it would be hard to represent both parties. Um,
and
and
feel good
not
about
feel
it.
like you're trying to kind of just be the in-between
Yeah,
person of like, let's just
yeah,
keep everybody happy here. But I know it's possible, but
yeah,
I like the idea personally of you have, you as the buyer have your own agent, you as the seller have your own agent. We're working together like you are my client, rather than
yeah.
like I'm trying to just make it to where everything goes good enough to get
Yeah.
everything through. But
And I haven't been in the industry long enough to know the old days. And I think that, I saw this article and I should have saved it and read it. But I think that buyer's agents came along because of this very reason, that it used to be
mm,
that it was more of one-sided party representation. And buyers were like, well, I'm not getting a fair deal out of this. And
yeah.
so that's kind of why buyer's agents came in. I think, again, I think it's a lack of explanation. What I've found is that clients aren't unwilling to pay a commission. You just have to provide value and show them the value. And I think in the old days, it used to be like I was the gatekeeper of all the information and you had to use me. Well, a lot of buyers are
Hmm.
savvy and they're like, well, on the internet, I can do a lot of stuff. So what are you going to do that's going to be worth your commission? And I think we haven't done a good job as agents doing that. And in turn,
Yeah.
we're seeing lawsuits like that. So
Yeah, and I think it's hard too because for some of us, I don't know which bucket you fall in, but I know for me, I'm trying to make it seem like it's as easy of a process as possible,
hmm
right? Like,
hmm
but I think sometimes that almost hurts me because it's
yeah,
like, well, why? Okay, well, this is a really easy
yeah,
process. Like, what did you do?
yeah.
Granted, I get paid from my company, not it's a
Not
little
the
bit
client.
different,
Yeah, yeah,
not the
yeah.
client, even though they're paying for it and part of their closing costs, but I've slowly learned that it's not the worst thing in the world to share like the different things that are happening, the struggles, the
Sure.
changes, the everything, to show partly what your value is. Like
Yeah,
that you are doing something instead of just like, okay, cool, yeah, I clicked a button and now we're good. So you're paying
yeah.
me this much money for me to just click a
For
few
that.
buttons. I'm
Yep.
actually
Absolutely.
working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with it. Will probably be more of a
Yep.
topic and more of an in-depth topic there. But man, are we millennials or Gen Xers? I don't know. Or are we on the border of both? I don't.
I think I'm a millennial. I'm almost positive that I
Oh,
am.
what is that supposed to mean? Like,
Well, I just don't know how old you are. I think
you're like,
I'm
you
on the
clearly look
verge.
like a Gen Xer. Like,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
this next prediction is basically regarding the millennials and the Gen Xers, and basically Redfin says that renting is going to kind of lose its stigma of renting is kind of the, you need to buy, you have to buy. And
Mm.
what they found was they surveyed a bunch of millennials, and basically 12% said they aren't interested in home ownership in general, and that 7%
Wow.
said they don't want to put in the effort to maintain their home. So you millennials are getting lazier and lazier by the year. But
Right.
I do think I'm on the verge. I think I'm a millennial, but like on the high end. Like I think I'm on the Gen
Yeah.
X millennial stage. So
Yeah.
I can
I'm right
say
there
that
with you,
stuff. Like,
I think. I don't know what the
um,
cutoff is.
yeah. So I think, but this all just turns. We don't have to go a ton on it. It's not a
Yeah.
huge issue. I think that it is losing. The younger the generation gets, it's less. It's less. There is less of a stigma to be like, oh, I'm going to rent. Like, it's not a
Hmm.
big deal. I think, especially with prices and rates that went up and shot up and COVID and all that stuff. I think you will see things settle down and people will start to see homeownership, the value in homeownership, the younger generation. But right now,
Hmm.
it's just out of reach.
Yeah.
And that I don't think that's a huge prediction by Redfin. Like,
Sure. No, I don't
or a
think so
shocking
either.
prediction. Like,
Yeah. I think it's
but
just depending on the environment that you're in, especially at
yeah,
a certain age. But it's like, yeah, if things are really expensive, if it's expensive to buy a home and it costs a lot of money to get into a home and maintain a home, then there's not a lot of appeal if you don't have much money. If you have
yeah,
the money, you have good income,
for sure.
more than likely you're probably going to want to do that just to build wealth over time.
Yeah,
But yeah, I could see that if I was renting right now and I just got out of college or in my early 20s, maybe late 20s, and heck yeah, it's expensive. I got
yeah,
to have
yeah,
three
for sure.
roommates just to get things by. So
Yep.
yeah.
They do say that their larger rentals prices will still increase. Smaller unit rentals, they think, will go down. So just
Mm,
something to think about. That's what I
yeah.
have. A little bit on the politics, and they do some other predictions, but we're running up on time, so I didn't want to bore
Yeah.
people with that stuff. But it's just an interesting article. If you guys need any questions answered or any predictions that Redfin has, let me know or let Cody know, and we have the article for
Hmm.
you. And if you have any questions regarding it, but the important thing to end this is what you and I will be doing. So,
Yes.
for those of you who don't know, we generally have talked to some of you and our close friends about this, but this we find we want to provide value really to our clients, to our family, to our friends, to other business owners, to other entrepreneurs, and working on this Wednesday thing with Cody has been a lot of fun. We want to expand on that. So Cody and I are going to start a podcast probably at the beginning of next year. What we're going to focus on is entrepreneurs, business owners, local people in the community. We really just want to have a conversation. I think that we have talked about this significantly, Cody, but just
Yeah.
about kind of what we went through, what we go through as not only business owners but members of the community, how we got to where we got to where we're at now, where we want to go. And so we really wanted to talk to people that have been through it, have or going through it, or just starting out in it. We want a vast range of people and topics to talk about so that we can let you guys see, if you're on the verge of starting a business, you're in the business and you're struggling, if you're in the business and you're succeeding, whatever that may be in the process. If you're a local community owner, we want to start highlighting local community businesses, local communities in general. And so, yeah, so we just wanted to start this podcast and provide value to you guys. So, Cody, you want to add anything else into that? I'm a little
Yeah.
long-winded, so
No, it's good.
what do you
I'm
have to say?
I'm excited. We've received some great support and encouragement from people, and I think we're both looking forward to this adventure. And like you said, the highlighting of other businesses, other entrepreneurs, just to give a little bit more insight into how did they get there? What did that look like? What made them decide that they wanted to do that? And I'm sure there'll be a lot of stories in between, but if you're a business owner and an entrepreneur, I think you can really appreciate that stuff. And if you're not, I think you can still appreciate it because you have probably heard how hard it is to start a company and create something and have it actually pay all your bills, and you can live a good life with it. So I'm excited to share people's stories, kind of highlight other people, and maybe make connections with other business owners, connecting through this to just kind of bridge these gaps for other industries, other businesses, and just shed some light on other people.
For sure. So if you are fitting in that category and you want to chat with Cody and I, it's a super casual podcast. We really not only just want to highlight business owners and entrepreneurs, but we want to highlight people in the community. So if you're local in the community, you you're a teacher, you're a principal, whatever you want to do. Cody and I are super casual with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to talk about your story, see where you got, why you got there, how you got there, and then how it's been going, and just kind of keep people entertained on just our local community, our local area, and just like super successful people all the way down to people just starting out, and kind of give people motivation and some guidance to kind of how they could get started, or just want to hear about the local community members and what they've got going on in their world. So if you do think that you are want to be a part of that, please feel free to reach out to Cody or I, and we can get you set up. Like I said, we're going to start pretty quickly here, and we'll start out with some fun topics and fun people already we've got lined up, but it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it, Cody, and looking forward to building on this and seeing where it goes. So
heck yeah. Yep. I'm excited. I'll grow my hair out for it.
Well, I've been trying to grow my beard out for it, but apparently it's not working. So
it's just the lighting. I think it's just the
lighting. Okay, man. Well, have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
If you guys have any questions, let me see. There's no questions today. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask me or Cody regarding real estate, regarding lending, regarding anything, feel free to reach out. We're there to answer any questions, either online live about your particular place if you're comfortable with it. But if you're not, just ask us privately, and we can help you navigate the real estate world, because it can be pretty convoluted and complicated in today's market. So again, thanks, Cody. We will talk to you later.
Thank you.
And have a good weekend.
You as well. We'll see ya.